It's an interesting time for business. Tariff and trade policies are dynamic, supply chains are squeezed, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a little bit of hurt. So how do you get full visibility and adapt in real time? Over 42,000 businesses trust NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for a reason. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. Real-time forecasting helps you move into the future with confidence, and with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business, and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook. This is the Smart Passive Income Podcast with Pat Flynn, session number 80. Hip hop, you don't stop and rock it to the bang bang, the boogie to the rhythm, the boogie to me. That was a little weird, I think.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. He watched Toy Story over 100 times before he had kids, Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of Pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Hiring shouldn't be a hassle or a drain on your budget. Upwork is your one-stop shop to find, hire, and pay top freelance talent, saving you time and keeping costs in check all in one place. Companies at every stage turn to Upwork to get things done and find more flexibility in the way that they staff key projects and initiatives by assessing a global marketplace filled with top talent in IT, web development, AI, design, administration support, marketing, and more. And I've personally used them myself and can vouch for them. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help your business grow. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com. Go there now. Hey, what's up? This is Pat Flynn, and welcome to session 80 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. I hope you enjoyed those intros, and I hope you're having an amazing day. Thank you. Thank you so much for taking time out of yours to listen to me. You are awesome. And because of that, we're going to go right into the content. And I want to start with a quote that relates to our special guest today and what he has done to make my life better, to make a lot of people's lives better, and potentially yours after listening to this. This person created an application, originally an iPhone app. Now it's a web app as well. And this was something I picked up on after speaking with Tim Ferriss. And you heard that conversation in SPI podcast session number 51, where I had Tim Ferriss on as a guest. And he mentioned a tool, an application that he uses and recommended to me and to everybody else listening to create habits, healthy habits in your life, because those are the things that can help you move forward and excel in business and just in general. And so I'm very, very happy to welcome the founder of Lift. That's the name of the app, Lift, and you can find that at lift.do. And so today we're speaking with Tony Stubblebine, and I want to start off with this quote because it's so important here. This is a quote from Benjamin Franklin. Of course, he has a ton of quotes, but this one is perfect for today's episode. The quote is, "Your net worth to the world is usually determined by what remains after your bad habits are subtracted from your good ones." And it's so important. This is a theme that is all over Smart Passive Income. How much can you serve? How much can you provide for your audience? And the more you can do that, the more people you can serve, the more rewards, money, fame, the ability to live the life you want to live, freedom will come your way. The more you serve others, the more you will get back. And I love this quote because it's, your net worth to the world. How well can you serve the world is usually determined by what remains after your bad habits are subtracted from your good ones. So we want to create good, healthy habits in our lifestyle that allow us to better serve our audience and to get more back in return. And so that's why, again, I'm happy to welcome Tony on the show, who's going to help us and show us and give us insights into habits of successful entrepreneurs because of this app that he created. He's going to tell us a quick story about how it was created and also some of the insights he's learned as an entrepreneur, as a startup person, a person in the startup world. And it's just a really, really interesting sort of different conversation than what we usually have here on the show. But again, I want you to think about this. If anything, I want you to think about the habits that you do daily. And, whether you pick up Lyft or not, I mean, it's a free application. It hasn't ever required me to send any payments or whatever for anything. It's completely free. But I want you to think about the habits that you do on a daily basis and how they contribute to your goals. And if you're not doing a lot of things that may be sort of helping you get to where you want to be, then it might be a time for a change or something like Lyft to help you create habits in your life that will help you get to where you need to go. So with all that said, let's just get right into the interview with Tony and we'll take it from there. Thank you so much. All right, I got Tony on the line with us. Tony, what's up, dude? How are you doing today?
Hey, man. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Now, it's really interesting. I had Tim Ferriss on the show at episode 51, and he's the reason how I discovered your application, which led me to discovering you and everything that you know about building habits and creating habits and things like that. He had such great things to say about it, and I had to try it out. And ever since downloading Lyft, which you can all find at lift.do, which is a perfect domain name, by the way, I've just fallen in love with the application. It has gotten me to do things I wouldn't normally do, gotten things to do that I sort of would do, on a consistent basis, to doing them incredibly consistently. So I just first have to, from myself and on behalf of a lot of the people in the SPI community who use Lyft, just thank you.
Yeah, well, you're welcome, of course. I think probably as Tim might have kind of, said to you guys, and it's something that we definitely have learned from him and have learned as we've been out in the world, is people are endlessly fascinating. And if you get involved with their own goals and aspirations, like this is unbelievable how many goals people have. And then how, like, when you look at someone like Tim, who's very successful, and it, at first, like for the 50,000-foot view, it just looks like magic. How did they get there? But the reality is they got there by hard work. And we all know that's true. But we kind of have this self-doubt, like, oh, should I really put in the work? I know it's going to be really hard, and is it going to pay off? It totally pays off. And that's the thing that we just learn over and over again with Lyft is like, put in the work, and you can be anybody that you want to be.
Yeah, that's awesome. And before we get to the app and what it does and things you have learned from developing it, and I can talk about things I've learned from using it. I would love to. I mean, I'm really curious. Just how did you get started in what you do, and how did Lyft sort of come about?
Yeah, sure. It's actually like it is a passive income success story in that I had been bootstrapping my own software company for a long time before Lyft. And the first 3 years were just incredibly hard and difficult. I had so much work and so little money. But somehow in year 4, it just completely flipped to the point where it was bringing in plenty of money and generating, I was able to hire other people to work on my behalf. And for the most part, I didn't have to put any more work into that company. So I found myself with 4 free days every week, a team of people that I could tell what to do, and this question, what do I want to spend the rest of my life doing? And it was really a no-brainer. I want to spend the rest of my life investigating the pursuit of excellence. And so I used those resources from my last company, Crowdvine, to start prototyping something around this pursuit of excellence idea and human potential. And I got something that I was personally interested in and that I really enjoyed. And I used that prototype to kind of sucker some of my best friends into joining me on this thing. And so my co-founder, John, who's a big startup veteran, came over from Path. And we worked together right out of college, now more than 10 years ago. And a lot of our funding came from my old boss, Evan Williams, who was the CEO of Twitter and is now the CEO of Medium. And they're just like, it's actually pretty easy to get people to work on this project because it's so fascinating and so fulfilling when you hear that you actually help someone, change their life or achieve some major goal.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, we could go deep into that story if we wanted to, but I think we were talking about this before we got on the call. I think what would be not that the story wouldn't be useful and how it came about, how you developed it, and things like that, and sort of how it's being monetized or whatever. That's interesting and would be helpful. But I think we're in a those of us listening and myself, we're in a unique position to have you on the line because this app is all about creating habits. And for any entrepreneurs, we all know that habits are incredibly important, whether, they're bad habits that we want to get rid of that are holding us back from doing what we should be doing, procrastination and things like that, to habits that we aren't necessarily doing yet that we want to learn how to do, or things that we are doing that aren't yet habits that should be, just to improve our lives and, like you said, achieve human excellence. So why don't you tell us a little bit, give us the short rundown on what does, if someone, I know there's a lot of people out there listening now who are like, what does this app do? How would you answer that question?
Yeah. With just a simple rundown of Lyft, we ask you to tackle your goals through habits. That if you have some major goal, like, you want your business to succeed, that's giant and too big to do anything about today. For today, you have to pick something that you're going to do regularly over and over again that you think will lead you to success. So we ask you to break your goals down into habits, big or small, and then make progress towards them daily or at least regularly. And then we support that with a community, probably the most ambitious community you're ever going to find on the internet. And that community cheers you on and helps to hold you accountable.
Yeah, I mean, for example, for those of you listening, if you have a big goal of succeeding in business, I mean, there's certain things you need to do, and we can just brainstorm this really quick. I mean, for me, I mean, in my Lyft app, I have certain things that may not seem like they're related to business, but they completely are, like read and run. Those are, exercising helps me perform better in my business. But there are other things like, writing and maybe connecting with a person in your audience today, or maybe sending a thank you note to a customer. Those are all great things that you can sort of keep track of in the app. And what I love about it is it sort of gamifies the whole the habitual process and goal meeting or goal setting and goal meeting process. And I just, it feels so good just to see that I've done things like 4 days in a row, and other people are commenting like, I'm also like tracking push-ups, and I'll say that I did 50 push-ups in a row, and I'll get people who they leave me props, which is sort of like a Facebook like, and also they'll leave comments like, yeah, you're doing it and awesome, and things like that. And other I have actually one here that I know a lot of people in my audience can relate to, because I've talked about it so many times, and that's the RAOK, which is random acts of kindness. So I actually have that as a goal, to do a random act of kindness every day, and I can sort of check when I do that, and other people can see that too, and I can see other people's who I'm following or who actually in my community, things that they do. Like I'm right here reading my Lyft app right now, and I see that Mary Pohl for the 38th time checked into random act of kindness, and today, 18 minutes ago, she helped a coworker by taking out their trash so they could leave earlier. That is awesome. Props to her. I'm leaving her a prop right now. Things like that. I mean, sent some good links to a friend. It's a start, at least. There were 2 kids. I mean, there's just all these. I mean, this is incredible. I'm not only am I, helping myself develop habits by wanting to do this every day, but I'm seeing other people do it too, which pushes me even further.
Exactly. And I mean, let's talk about your listeners who are starting businesses right now. Like, the obvious thing that they're going to think about when they think about success are, productivity habits, or, how to be better at their job. But one of the things that you identified and really communicated to me actually a long time ago was that, like, entrepreneurship is also about balance. If you don't have the rest of your life in order, it starts to intrude on your work and starts to drag you down. And so, just being in a mode where you can be generous, or where you can be healthy, and you can make the time to work out and spend time with your friends, or to reach out and do a favor for someone, like, those are long-term investments in yourself. Because if you think about like what you're going to look like in a year of nonstop work where you haven't eaten right, you like all your friends have like think you've disappeared from the planet, and you haven't worked out a single time, like, you're not qualified to be an entrepreneur anymore at that point. Like, you're going to just be so isolated, so out of shape, so tired that you can't achieve anything. And so I always think of you when I think about that half of entrepreneurship, that if an entrepreneur thinks of themselves purely as a workaholic, then they don't make the hard decisions around
their lifestyle.
Prioritization.
Yeah.
Right? And so if you prioritize lifestyle, then it forces you to make prioritization decisions inside of your business, rather than thinking, well, I'm just going to do everything. And if there's one thing I've learned about business, it's that it's much more important to figure out what is the one thing that really matters than doing all of the things. Because for the most part, you're asked to do a lot of small things which don't really move the needle. And then every now and then you find something that just has gigantic impact. And like, you need to be aware enough to notice when that happens and really grab onto it.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are thousands of different habits in here. I mean, I probably should add even more, like drink like 3 glasses of water, or other things. And I really love what you pointed out there. I didn't even think of that. The fact that I am an entrepreneur, but everything in my Lyft app is sort of other parts of my life outside of what I do in my business. And I think that's really important. So for those of you who have this app or decide to pick it up, it's important to put stuff that's going to help you achieve your business goals. But it's also important to put stuff in here that helps you achieve your life goals, which in turn will help your business even more in a lot of ways. So just really think of it like that. And you could download it and you could see the activity that people are sharing, and it's just so. I mean, this is a really good idea, and I just love what you're doing here and your team is doing here. And I have to say, I don't know how many apps I've downloaded, but I have pages of apps in my iPhone right now. And obviously apps get updated every once in a while. And if you're not an iPhone user, what happens is when an app is updated, you have to re-download it, and it kind of shares what the latest updates have been, sort of what else you're getting as a result of downloading this update. And no other apps that I have, Tony, have a more detailed and even more caring update than those that are posted by you.
Yeah.
Every update I see from Lyft is not only just the new features that are added, which there are always features being added, but you spend a lot of time at the end just talking to your customers or to the people who have downloaded your app. And I think that's really cool.
Well, thank you. And so, yeah, every time that a new release goes out, I spend a lot of time thinking about why did we do this and why is it going to matter? And sometimes it might not even be obvious because it's a work in progress and it won't matter until 3 or 4 things coming down the pipeline actually release as well. But, that thoughtfulness to me is really important, that it's not about doing everything. It's about figuring out what really matters and what really helps. And I think because this is my second company, I care a lot more about impact. For my first company, I just wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. And those 3 really hard, scrappy years, all I thought to myself was, there's no way I'm going to let this fail. And then once I got to the end and it was successful, all I could think to myself is, why on earth did I build this? This isn't what I want to spend my whole life doing. And I think I can make more of an impact on the world. And so I think, probably for my last company or for companies I worked at before, I probably wouldn't have written such thoughtful updates because I wasn't as thoughtful about it. But for me, this company, I really think of it as my life's work. And, it comes out in the update in the release notes because it's natural and it's easy. And I've got so much to do, so many things to do already. I wouldn't spend the time writing those unless they really came quickly and came naturally. But I get feedback. That's one of the number one things we get feedback on, I think, because we're so unique in doing that.
Yeah, that's cool. And maybe some iPhone app developers out there who I know are part of my audience, some of you, maybe you could download the app and just sort of see what Tony's doing there and get inspiration from that for your own good and for your audience who has downloaded your apps. I mean, it's obvious to me that you care, and I think that can help anybody who's developing apps, I think. Now,
for sure.
One thing I want to point out about the app that I love, and it's sort of related to goal setting and completing your goals and also procrastination, is the fact that if I don't do something, or if I don't check in to one of my habits, I get a little pop up from you. I'm going to say it's from you, Tony, because I feel like you're on the other end watching me through this app. I get a little pop up that tells me you haven't done any of your habits today, and it also encourages me to do even just one of them sometimes. And the messages are different. But I think thinking about those of us listening, we all have these things we want to do and things we want to accomplish. I think it's also really important to think about the consequences of what might happen as a result of not doing those things. I mean, I see that message pop up and I feel bad. And I go and do something, I just do push-ups right then and there. I'm like, okay, got to get it out of the way because I don't want that message to pop up again. And it pops up every once in a while. It's a great reminder. And again, that's one of the benefits of the app here. But whether you have the app or not, that's just something really important to think about when it comes to getting things done. I don't know if you've thought about this, Tony, but I would be even more inclined to complete all my habits and check in every single day to every single one of them if there was an even more negative result of, for not doing something. For example, if I connected my PayPal account to Lyft and I got charged 10 cents every day I didn't do a habit. I don't know. I'm just saying. There was a video by Derek Halpern, which I'll link to in the show notes here, that talks about why people don't do things or why people fail. And it's because there are no negative effects from, people feel like they have a safety net sometimes, or they feel like nothing really bad is going to happen if they just wait another day, for example. But he talks about a strategy to really get things done, which is, tell a friend or I think there's even a site out there, I don't remember the name, but I'll find it and I'll put it in the show notes as well, where if you don't do something that you have on your to-do list that you're supposed to do, you will actually get charged a certain amount of money, and it goes to a specific charity that you hate. So you find a charity that you hate, and it sort of donates money to that charity if you don't complete what you do. And that's a huge motivator. It would be a huge motivator for me. And I know money for a lot of people is a huge motivator. A lot of people will just tell their friends, like, hey, if I don't have this done by this time, I'm going to give you $100. And so your friend's going to hound you to try and or that person's going to be excited for you not to do it. So you obviously will do whatever it is that it is. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on sort of the consequences?
Like you just gave us a business model. I think that's it. We're going for the people who fell off the wagon. We're going to be pulling 10 cents out of their bank account every day.
I don't know how legal that is or whatever, but
it's legal. I mean, it's legal if they sign up for it. But I mean, talk about it seriously, the thing about kind of the science of behavior design, which Lyft is based on a lot of scientific background, is that there is an incredible variety of ways in which you can, modify your own or someone else's behavior. There's just a lot of strategies you can use, and I think when you hear about it in the academic community, they present their ideas as almost competing, but in practice, they're not competing. They're more alternating. Like you could choose one path or you could choose this other path. And so Lyft very much has gone down the path of momentum and positive reinforcement. And our theory is that if we can get you to do, one thing once, you're more likely to be doing that thing, down the road. Mm-hmm. And, there's a totally different approach you could take, which is what you're describing with the betting, which is around negative reinforcement or threat of negative reinforcement, or around commitment devices where, you tell a friend and you're committing to do this. And it works. It absolutely is effective. But so, not in our mind, not as effective or as flexible as a more positive reinforcement approach. And so just as I think the place where it really falls down for us is like, we want Lyft to be a permanent support for your life. So every time you become more successful, you just want even more and more. We have so many successful entrepreneurs on Lyft right now, who have started giant companies which everyone knows about, and they still, all they think about is how can they be better versions of themselves. And the thing that I always hated about the betting mechanic is that once you lose the bet, to me, that's it. That's a site where, hey, I just lost $100 over there. I don't want to go back over there. So that's the school of thought that we're in.
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. I mean, I think it's, like you said, different for everybody. What works best for me, I mean, the positive reinforcement, absolutely, like I said earlier, just drives me like crazy. Not drives me crazy, but drives me like crazy to keep going. But, sure. The negative reinforcement just sort of catches me when I'm falling,
right.
Which I love. And it sort of reminds me of when I got first started with online business. It was, thinking about what would happen if I don't continue or don't do what I needed to do was really, really motivating. So thinking about the message popping up forces me to do stuff. But on a bigger level, when I first started, when I got laid off, thinking about moving back in with my parents, which I did, and then getting married and not having the money or the business to support my new family, that was scary to me too, and that's what kept me going as well. So just really interesting stuff here. I want to get into, you guys are keeping track of all this data. How many users do you have at this point?
Yeah, we don't want to talk about numbers of users or whatnot, but we can talk about insights that we have gotten from looking at our habit data and our success data.
Sure. That's where I was going. It's obvious that there are tens of thousands of people using it.
More than that, much more than that.
Okay, I got that out of you. So, let's talk. So, my audience, they're entrepreneurs, they're bloggers, they're people who work really hard and want to create something for themselves. What are the habits that you're noticing on your Lyft app that, and what are the sort of trends? What are sort of maybe some of the ones that people are struggling with the most and things like that?
That's an interesting question. As far as sort of entrepreneurship, the one that really struck me earlier this year was there's a huge influx of entrepreneurs working on meditation. And so we did some research on this, and we found a couple of things. One, the benefits of meditation for performance were kind of incredible. That I had always thought of meditation as more of a spiritual practice, but if you think about it instead as as practicing control over your own focus and practicing calming and clearing your own head and practicing being present in the moment, those are all skills that come up a lot for an entrepreneur because you're constantly multitasking. So I think of my day as I get to work, I send 30 emails and I'm just in this email zone, knocking out email after email. And then I have to jump on a podcast, right? And that switch from I was thinking about 30 different things to now I have to be completely present with you and be completely focused on what is the problem that your listeners are trying to solve. And then the podcast is going to end, and this we're interviewing designers right now. This designer is going to walk in the door, and I have to be able to both sell him on the vision of the company and do an interview where I get to the heart of, is he a good fit for us? What are his strengths and weaknesses? That constant set of switching, and often switching from one kind of high pressure situation to another, is something that entrepreneurs find that meditation helps them with a lot. So that was something that popped up from Lyft. But then there was this data element that we also learned, which is, we had talked to a lot of entrepreneurs who had failed to pick up meditation, who wanted to, but did really struggled with it. And they would always, and we couldn't tell why until we actually got into the Lyft data. And it turned out that people who are successful at picking up meditation as a habit almost universally think of meditation as something that it's okay to do for just a short period of time. A lot of them started with 2 minutes, whereas the people who were failing were thinking they were going to just sit down for an hour and have a perfectly calm head. And if anyone who's even tried a minute of meditation, just the idea of sitting down for an hour with nothing to think about, where your mind is completely clear, it just doesn't happen. Even experienced meditators don't have that experience.
Yeah, I think for entrepreneurs, it's even harder just because of the way that we're wired. And I have tried meditation in the past, and I have failed many times. I've tried meditating in my office. I've tried meditating in a park. I've tried meditating in the shower with the water coming down on me, which helped a little bit. But I can't get more than a second of nothing in my head. It's ridiculous. And so that's really interesting to hear. And it actually motivates me to want to try it again. We've talked about not you and I, Tony, but on the SPI podcast, we've heard this before in episode 71. The guest on that show, Sean Webb, or actually episode 70, excuse me. Sean Webb talked about the equation of emotion and how we feel in the brain, and meditation was a huge component to people's success. We talked about it there, and you're bringing it up again. That's just
Yeah.
really interesting. And now you have data behind it too.
I was just thinking about emotional control today because I have all sorts of kind of trivial minor things which will sometimes throw me a little bit emotionally off balance. And the one that happened today is I got a phone call and I answered directly to my cell phone. I answered and it said telemarketer, and I'm just like, and I actually have a script that I use that politely involves me hanging up within 3 seconds. But to my mind, I was polite about it.
Oh, nice.
And,
everybody's going to want to know what that is now that you said that.
So the thing is, well, sure, I'll go into it because this is actually one of my favorite little like emotional hacks. Is I always hated hanging up rudely because then, I mean, they deserve it, but then I'm in this kind of rude mind space and it actually affects me after the call. So what I wanted to do was trick myself into thinking that I was polite, but I didn't want to spend any time with them, and I didn't want to leave any room for getting into an argument with them. Because anytime you're polite, they're going to take that as this opportunity to engage with you. So I just have a script. I go, thank you so much for calling, pause, but we're not interested, pause, goodbye, click. And the pauses are there to give them a chance to say goodbye. They almost never say goodbye during those pauses. But to my mind, we just had a perfectly normal conversation that involved me saying goodbye to them. And so anyway, so I had this telemarketer. And so then 5 seconds later, another call came in. I'm like, oh, great, another telemarketer. And that's my mindset right there, right, when I'm answering this call. And it turned out it was someone in HR doing a reference check for one of my favorite old coworkers. And I was like, oh, this is not a bad call. This is a good call. And I have to switch from being cynical to being really, really positive because, it's super important for me when I respond to a reference check that if I like that person, I just 100% communicate that to the person doing the reference check.
Right.
And so to me that's a kind of typical kind of emotional situation that comes up dozens of times a day sometimes. And and if you're lost, as we said earlier, if you're out of shape, if you're tired, if you're kind of brain dead, if you're not even in a social place because you've shut off all your friends, then you're not in a place where you can respond to those little switches. So meditation is my secret for that.
Nice, awesome. Now we're coming up to the end here, Tony. I wanted to know, based on what you've done as an entrepreneur, as someone in the startup world, and of course someone who's created Lyft. Do you have 1 or 2 tips for entrepreneurs out there that can help us all do better in life and in business? Beyond just obviously picking up Lyft.
Yeah, no, I have 2. These are sort of my standard life lessons in entrepreneurship. And one is that, the competitive advantage of a bootstrapper, of someone who didn't take investment. Lyft took investment, but my last company didn't. And it's the competitive advantage is that you never have to go out of business. And I see this lesson come up over and over again where it's like, you start a company and then someone else has got a company just like yours and you're like, oh, who's going to win? 99% of the time, the other company is going to find some way to put themselves out of business. And you have this incredible advantage if you just continue to survive. And so there's a lot of people who think in terms of take big risks, take a second mortgage, max out your credit cards, right? Those are all things that put your business at risk for going out of business. Whereas, when I started my last company, I did consulting on the side until there was enough revenue coming in to support me. Then once there was enough revenue to support 2 people, I hired a second person. And we just built it organically, and we had dozens of competitors who would come in and make a big, splash and then disappear because they didn't think in terms of the long run. And then the other, which is the lesson I learned in between companies, which is really you're going to succeed if you put the work in. So what really matters more than anything is that you're going to feel like it's meaningful. And, this is something I noticed the second I started working for myself, is that money mattered less to me once I had a job that mattered to me, right? Like, I remember when I used to get bored at work, I would spend all of my spare time researching major purchases. Like my first HD TV, I spent 3 months at work reading reviews on HD TVs, right? And it's like, I needed that job in order to afford a high-end TV, right? But now that I have a job that matters, like I almost never even turn on my TV because I have something that's more meaningful to me. And, I think it's easy as an entrepreneur to get into this trap of, well, this looks like a good opportunity, and so I'm going to jump on it. But there's unlimited business opportunities. And so what's more important is to figure out, like, is this an opportunity that matters to you personally? Because you're going to be spending a lot of time in this for a really long time.
Love it, Tony. Love it. Thank you so much for that and for your time here today on the SPI podcast. If people want to learn more about you, I mean, I know you have Lift.do, which you could pick up Lift right now if you wanted to. It's available on iOS currently and also on the web, so you don't need an iPhone or iPad in order to make it happen. And I believe it's free, correct?
It is completely free.
Awesome. Love it. And but if people want to learn more about you, Tony, where should they go?
The best place is to go to Lift.do. Or if they want to learn about me, and I often put out tips for entrepreneurs, follow me on Twitter. I'm at Tony Stubblebine, and I do a lot of writing, and you can get that through my Twitter feed. Okay, cool. I'll put a link to Tony's Twitter in the show notes. Tony, thank you again so much for being a guest on the show. Congrats on the success of the app, and I wish you even more. And can't wait to connect with you again in the future.
Pat, a pleasure. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye. Awesome. I don't know what that sound was at the end there. It sounded like somebody was skiing across the microphone or something. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Tony, the creator of Lift. Tony, if you're listening to this, thank you so much for your time. And once again, all of you can find Lift in the App Store on your iPhone or on the web at lift.do. I actually have an SPI group on Lift. So if you're signed up already or if you haven't signed up yet, again, it's 100% free. Find my group by going to lift.do/groups and scroll down under the, I believe it's the personal development or productivity section. You'll see a Fans of Smart Passive Income group link. So join up there, you along with myself and everyone else who's a part of that group. There's almost 400 people in there now. We all are going to share our habits and keep each other accountable. And it's just awesome for helping us sort of achieve these goals, which is amazing. Now, before I let you go, I have a few important announcements. I'm going to be speaking a lot in the next few months, and the next gig is actually at the Financial Blogger Conference in St. Louis, October 17th to the 20th, and I'm completely honored to be the opening keynote for the entire event. I'm so looking forward to it, so nervous, but in a good way. So yeah, I'm so blessed. So thank you, Philip Taylor, the organizer of FinCon. You are amazing for inviting me on as a keynote speaker. I will not let you down, I promise. For those of you who live in and around the St. Louis area, whether you're going to FinCon or not, look out for announcements on my Facebook page and on Twitter at Pat Flynn for invites to a couple meetups that I'm holding in the St. Louis area. I love to meet people when I go speak. It's just one of the best things ever. I'm also speaking at a virtual conference called Social Media Success Summit, which is put on by socialmediaexaminer.com. That happens in October as well. Then I'm headed to Arizona for another keynote for PartnerCon. I'm speaking in January of 2014 at New Media Expo, which I'm really excited about. I'm speaking in the Philippines. My first international business sort of speaking gig. That's at Chris Ducker's event or it's called Tropical Think Tank, which is awesome. And that event sold out in like 26 hours, which is fantastic. So that's in March of 2014. You could tell I've just fallen in love with the speaking stuff. And, as nervous as I get and how much I prepare for them, it's just great to, it's like performing. I feel like it's performing in the marching band again, something I used to do every week in college, of course. And, I prepared really hard. Then the moment I get on stage, I'm sort of in the zone almost. I'm just sort of doing my thing. And all of a sudden it ends and people are clapping and I wondered what happened. It's such a good feeling to pull off a great presentation. And I hope to bring it at all of these upcoming events. I hope to see you there somewhere. Perhaps you can check out the sidebar of smartpassiveincome.com to get all the links and discount codes if there are any available for some of these events that are coming up. So smartpassiveincome.com, or get the show notes, of course, as always, smartpassiveincome.com/session 80. Woo, I'm on fire here. Also, speaking of Chris Ducker, he and I did, you might remember we talked about this in session 74, we did a live 25-person mega mastermind here in San Diego. We had a bunch of people sign up, 25 people, all meet together in the same room, and everybody got a chance to be in the hot seat. And during that moment, with everybody's business, everybody else contributed to help that person find and walk away with a major breakthrough in their business. We call it the one-day business breakthrough. And man, it was just such an awesome, fulfilling experience for us. That day went so well that Chris and I just recently talked. We're going to do another one the next time Chris is in town. And actually, not just one, but we're going to do 2. So the next ones that are coming up, the next one-day business breakthroughs, these are limited to 20 people only because we really want to dive deep into each of these businesses and really tear it down and break it back up. Not just me and Chris, but everybody else collectively. The next one is on Thursday, January 9th, 2014. I was going to say 2011. And then the next one after that, 2 days later, Saturday, January 11th, 2014. Those are 2 separate events. Each one is limited to 20 people. So if you're interested, some seats have already been sold actually, but if you're interested, head on over to the show notes, Session 80, and click the links to the event from there. They'll be in the resource section. And yeah, Chris and I would love to hang out with you, break your business down, and build it back up for you. And then, of course, we're going to have lunch and dinner and drinks together too afterwards. So awesome. Hope to see you there. Anyway, that's plenty of announcements. That's probably more than enough. Remember, do what you can to create healthy habits that will help you live the lifestyle that you want to live and stop you from doing what you shouldn't be doing. And I and several other people out there, and there are apps out there to help you out. So keep moving forward. I hope to see you soon. And of course, you'll hear me in the next session, session number 81, with a success story in a niche that you probably wouldn't guess would work online. But yes, it does. And our guest, she's got a wonderful story, inspiring, and you'll hear it then. So we'll see you in session 81. Cheers, and all the best. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
I said a hip hop, hip hop, you don't stop rocking to the bang bang boogie, so up jump the boogie to the rhythm of the boogie the beat. Thanks for listening. Hey, fellow podcaster, does this sound like something you've experienced? Record your podcast episode on one platform, download the files, edit in another app, then fire up a different tool just to create these social clips. Well, it can be clunky, time-consuming, and frankly overwhelming, especially for creators trying to grow. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Riverside. Riverside is the all-in-one platform. Record, edit, and repurpose your podcast content all in one place. You just log in, record with your guests no matter where you are in the world, and just like that, studio-quality audio and high-resolution video. We use Riverside here at SPI as well now. With built-in AI, I can automatically clean up my audio, saving myself so much editing time, and it can even auto-generate clips to make promoting the show a breeze. And with Magic Clips, I can grab the best moments and repurpose them as short-form video, perfect for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or Instagram, without re-recording a thing. So if you're tired of juggling tools and want a faster, simpler way to create and scale your content, it's time to try Riverside, built by creators for creators. Just go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground. Legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free, personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to taylorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Taylor Brands.